The sky over Earth was dark, even though it was noon. A giant shadow covered the ground. A massive alien ship had entered the atmosphere. People across the world watched in silence, eyes wide, hearts racing. Captain Rayan stood on the landing pad, wearing Earth's most advanced battle armor. His face was calm, but his muscles were tight. This was not just a meeting. It was Earth's first contact with the Zorethian Empire, the most powerful alien civilization in the galaxy. The ship landed without sound. Its silver body shimmered like liquid metal. Slowly, a ramp lowered. Group of tall, glowing alien guards marched out in perfect formation. Behind them walked someone different. She was tall, with violet skin and glowing blue eyes. Her long silver hair moved gently, as if floating in water. A crown rested on her head. She was beautiful and dangerous. She was Princess Virel's daughter, of the Zorethian Emperor, trained in war and politics since birth. She stopped in front of Rayan and looked him up and down. Then she laughed. "A human?" she said, her voice smooth and sharp. "Wearing that toy armor." Her guards chuckled. Rayan didn't move. "Captain Rayan of Earth, I welcome you to our world." Virel stepped closer. "Tell me, Captain, do all humans hide behind machines? Or are you just afraid of real strength?" Rayan replied calmly. "Strength comes in many forms, Princess." She smirked. "We'll see." She turned and walked back to her ship. Rayan followed, stepping into the alien vessel. The inside was bright and clean, full of glowing walls and humming energy. They entered a wide chamber with floating platforms and alien symbols carved in gold. A voice echoed from above. It was the Zorethian High Speaker. "Earth has been allowed entry into the Galactic Alliance," the voice said. "But trust must be earned. Your champion must face the trials." Princess Virel turned to Rayan. "That means you, Captain. 3 tests. Strength, mind, and loyalty. Fail, and Earth is removed from the Alliance." "Then I won't fail," Rayan said. Virel raised one eyebrow. "You're confident. That's good. You'll need it." She clapped her hands. A wall opened, revealing a long hallway. At the end, huge doors stood closed, glowing with red light. "The first trial begins now," she said. "Let's see if your armor can save you." Rayan walked toward the doors. As he passed the guards, he heard them whisper, "Poor human. No chance." The doors opened with a deep groan. A wave of hot air rushed out. Inside was darkness. Then a deep animal growl shook the ground. From the shadows stepped a massive creature, 4 eyes, 6 legs, teeth like knives. Its skin was black and armored like stone. This was a Thrak, one of Zareth's deadliest beasts. Virel watched from a high platform above the arena. Her arms were crossed. Her face showed boredom. The Thrak roared and charged. Rayan stood still until the last moment. Then he rolled to the side, firing a stun pulse from his wrist. It hit the creature's leg. The Thrak roared in pain but didn't stop. Rayan didn't panic. He studied its movements, fast but not smart, strong but predictable. He used his armor's jetpack to leap onto a rock. The Thrak jumped after him, crashing into the stone and, getting stuck for a moment, Rayan scanned the area and smiled. He ran to a large column in the center of the arena. He activated a hologram, confusing the beast. Then he triggered a trap. A net of energy dropped from the ceiling. Catching the Thrak, it screamed and thrashed, but it couldn't escape. The arena went silent. Virel stood up slowly. Her expression changed. She looked ... surprised. Rayan stepped out of the arena, armor damaged but head held high. "I didn't kill it," he said. "But I won." Virel walked up to him. Her voice was softer now. Clever. I didn't expect that from a human. Rayan shrugged. You said it was about survival, not slaughter. She didn't reply. Instead, she turned and said, tomorrow. The next trial, let's see how sharp your mind is. As she walked away, she glanced back at him. For the first time, she wasn't mocking. She was curious. The walls were breathing. Captain Rayan stood in a dark hallway that pulsed with red light. The air smelled like burnt metal and dust. The walls around him alive, warm, moving, slightly seemed to be watching him. Above him, an alien. Voice whispered through hidden speakers. Begin. The ground shook. The doors ahead opened not with noise, but with a deep, vibrating hum. Like a beast growling beneath the surface. Rayan stepped forward into the trial chamber. High above, Princess. Virel watched from a crystal balcony, her eyes glowing in the dark. She said nothing. She simply waited. The arena was massive, rocky terrain, tall spikes, and strange glowing plants. The roof was open to a green sky filled with two suns. A low growl echoed again. Then it stepped out. The Gravik beast, not the same creature. From yesterday, bigger, smarter, stronger. Its body was covered in dark scales, with blue veins glowing under its skin. 4 legs, 2 tails, and eyes like burning stars. The crowd of alien nobles gasped. Even Virel leaned forward. They sent a Gravik. She whispered, that's not a test. That's an execution. But Rayan didn't blink. He scanned the terrain. The beast was circling him slowly, waiting, testing him. This wasn't just a fight. This was a game of survival. Okay, Rayan muttered. Let's play. The Gravik lunged. Rayan jumped back, using his thrusters to fly onto a ledge. The beast roared and slammed its tail against the rock, sending shockwaves through the ground. Rayan lost balance and fell, but mid-air, he launched a sonic mine. Boom! The blast hit the Gravik in the chest. Smoke and dust filled the air. For a second, silence. Then the Gravik emerged, angrier. Unharmed, its skin had absorbed the explosion. From above, Virel whispered to her commander, why did they send this creature? He's not supposed to survive. The commander replied, we didn't send it, Princess. Someone changed the trial. Her eyes narrowed. Back in the arena, Rayan was running. Its armor's power was dropping. No weapons left, no support. Number? Escape. He stopped behind a large alien statue, breathing heavily. And then, he smiled. He wasn't afraid. He touched the side of his helmet. Time to change the rules. From his wrist, a small device shot into the air and released a cloud of nanodust, forming dozens of floating decoys. The Gravik roared and attacked the illusions, confused. Rayan sprinted forward, climbed its back, and jammed his last energy cell into the Gravik's neck. It buzzed, then exploded in a burst of magnetic shockwaves. The Gravik dropped to its knees. It wasn't dead. Rayan stood in front of the creature, chest heaving. He didn't raise a weapon. He didn't finish it. He simply stared into its burning eyes. You're not my enemy, he said. The Gravik growled, then turned and limped away. The crowd was silent. Princess Virel stood frozen. Her voice low, her words slow. He spared it. Her guards looked confused. Why didn't he kill it? One asked. Virel's answer came after a long pause. Because he doesn't fight to win. He fights to prove something. She stepped away from the balcony. Alone, her mind spinning. Later that night, in her private chamber, Virel replayed the arena footage. She zoomed in on Rayan's face, calm, focused, fearless. She whispered to herself, why does a human have the heart of a king? But before she could think further, a message blinked on her screen. Trial 3 has been moved up. Assassination attempt expected. Prepare the princess. Her hands froze. Someone wanted her dead, and the only person who had saved her before, Taisa, was a human. The sky over Zareth's capital glowed purple, but inside the trial chamber, all was dim and silent. A thick fog floated near the floor. The silence wasn't peace, was tension. Captain Rayon stood at the edge of a glowing blue path. The alien walls around him shifted like puzzle pieces, constantly moving, opening and closing silently. Like a breathing machine, there were no doors, no guide, no weapons. Just a calm, female voice that echoed from nowhere. Solve the maze. Before your time ends, if you fail, your mind is lost. The voice was not a threat, it was a promise. Rayan took a breath. This wasn't like the trial of strength. This was a test of thought, of clarity, of control. High above, behind invisible glass, Princess Virel watched alone. No guards this time, no laughter. She didn't mock him now. She watched in silence. This was the trial she once feared herself. The trial of the mind, not because it killed you, but because it changed you. Inside the maze, the path lit up under Rayan's boots as he walked. The moment he took a wrong turn, the light vanished. The walls shifted again. Faster now, trapping, rearranging. Rayan placed his hand on one wall, warm and pulsing. It was alive, responding to thought. Maybe even fear. He closed his eyes, ignoring the time countdown ticking in his earpiece. He started to feel a pattern in the hum of the walls, a soft pulse. Like a rhythm, it was code, not a code of numbers. A code of emotion, he whispered. It's not a test of knowledge. It's a test of intention. The walls pulsed in response. He moved forward, not guessing, but trusting. Every time he doubted, the path closed. Every time he trusted himself, it opened back in the observation room. One Zarethian noble arrived beside Virel. He's using instinct, not logic. That's impossible. No, Virel said quietly. That's human. Deeper in the maze, the walls changed. They began showing images, not alien ones, Earth memories. Rayan's past, his father's disappointed face, his squad's death in the Mars skirmish, his mother's fading voice. Emotion is distraction. The voice echoed again. Let go or be trapped. But Rayan didn't let go. He looked straight at the memory of his team dying in the explosion. Tia's heart twisted. But he didn't push the pain away. He walked through it, and the walls opened. One by one, the maze tried to break him. Through regret, through guilt. But Rayan didn't run from any of it. He felt everything and kept moving. At the center of the maze, a pedestal rose. On it, nothing, just silence. Then the walls around him collapsed into light. The maze had ended, not because he solved it, but because he faced himself. When Rayan walked out, his face was pale, eyes distant, but he was whole. He had passed. Outside the chamber, Princess Virel stood waiting, alone. You didn't just pass, she said. You changed something in the maze. I didn't beat it, he replied. I just stopped being afraid of it. She looked at him for a long moment, then said something he didn't expect. I've never made it to the end. He was about to reply when an explosion echoed through the palace walls. The lights flickered. Ah! Guard rushed in, eyes wide. The inner court has been attacked. They're coming for the royal bloodline. Virel's face went blank. Bert's her hands trembled. She looked at Rayan. For the first time, not as an alien. Not as a rival. Not even as a warrior. She looked at him as someone she could trust. Then whispered, I think you were never here to pass trials. You were here to protect me. Asterisk, the music stopped. It wasn't loud, but everyone in the royal court felt it like a breath held too long. The soft melody that always played in the grand hall had cut off mid-note. No one moved. No one spoke. Princess Varel looked up from her holographic scroll. Her fingers froze mid-air. Captain Rayon, standing beside a tall crystal column, felt. His instincts kick in before the threat even showed itself. His spine stiffened. Something was wrong. Terribly wrong. Then the light changed, a subtle flicker. Not visible to most eyes, but Rayan had trained in war zones where one flicker meant life or death. He reached to his side, but there was nothing. No weapon. He wasn't allowed to carry one inside the Zerethian royal court. And yet, a sharp click echoed across the marble floor. Virel turned toward the noise too late. A royal guard collapsed beside her, eyes open, unmoving. His silver armor cracked like glass, steam rising from the wound in his neck. Another flicker, then another. They were here, shadows in motion. Silent, fast, assassins, not creatures. Not warriors, parasites. Small, intelligent organisms that slipped into living bodies and controlled them from the inside. Ancient weapons, banned in most systems, impossible to detect. Until too late, now they had entered the palace, and they wanted one thing. The princess guards drew weapons, but too slow. The infected among them turned instantly, shooting, stabbing, falling on their comrades. Chaos erupted. Screams filled the hall, and through the madness, Captain Rayon moved. No armor, no weapons, just instinct. He grabbed a fallen guard's staff and spun it like he had trained 1,000 times before. He ducked a plasma shot, kicked a parasite-controlled attacker straight into a pillar, and pulled Virel behind the throne. "Stay down," he said. She didn't argue. Rayan peeked over the edge. One of the infected Hossa Palace advisor was crawling up the wall, its head bent backward, body twitching unnaturally. Black liquid dripped from its mouth. It whispered in a dozen voices at once. She must die. The air must not ascend. Right. Leaped forward before it reached her. He jabbed the staff through its chest, and it shrieked like a broken machine. The parasite burst from the body, but Rayon caught it mid-air with a shard of the broken guard's blade. Splat, it hissed, and then fell still, all around. More guards were falling, but then something strange happened. Some of the infected paused, turned, and stared at Rayan. Not at Virel, at him, as if recognizing him, as if afraid. Virel saw it too. "What are you?" she whispered. But he didn't answer, because deep in his body, under his skin, something glowed faintly. Something not entirely human. Something old. Something alive. His fingers shook, not from fear, but because that thing inside him. It was awake. Now, and it had seen these parasites before. Long ago, when Earth was still crawling. A new voice entered his head. Not external, internal, not alien, not human. Do not let her fall. You are the bridge. The final infected creature lunged from the ceiling, fangs out. Blood dripping, but Rayon turned, caught it mid-air, and slammed it into the floor. Silence, only the crackle of fire remained. He stood up slowly, breathing hard. Around them, bodies lay scattered. Some moaning, some still. Some not even whole. Virel stared at him, speechless. "I think," Rayon said quietly, "this wasn't part of the trial." "No," she replied. "This was a message." She stepped over a broken helmet, then looked at him, eyes serious. "You're not just Earth's champion, are you?" Rayan didn't answer, because even he wasn't sure anymore. The mirror didn't recognize him anymore. Captain Rayan stood alone in the medical chamber. Shirt removed, armor scattered across the floor like broken promises. The room was quiet, but his heart wasn't. His reflection flickered on the polished obsidian wall, his face still human, but what glowed beneath his skin? WASN single quotes T. Blue veins of light pulsed softly along his chest and shoulders, forming patterns no Earth doctor could explain. They moved, slowly shifting, almost alive, almost aware. Rayan touched the center of his chest where a thin silver line traced a perfect circle. Glowing faintly, he had no memory of when it first appeared. He only remembered the pain and the silence after. The Zorethian med drones hovered nearby, but dared not come close. Their scans had failed to classify what was inside him. No virus, no machine. Not Zorethian tech, not Terran. Something older. Something buried in him. Waiting. Princess Varel stepped into the room without a word. Her usual armor of sarcasm was gone. No mocking smile. No royal pride. Just curiosity and something like fear. I heard you refused healing treatment, she said. I healed differently, he replied, not looking at her. You mean unnaturally? Maybe, or maybe I'm just becoming what I already was. She took a step closer. The parasites knew you. They remembered something in me. But what? He finally looked at her. I don't know. Silence. Then she saw the marks on his back, burned into the skin, glowing softly like ancient runes. Each one was part of a language lost to time. She recognized none of it. But one symbol stood out. The Eye of Eleron. Her breath caught. That's impossible. That symbol is sacred. Forbidden. It belonged to the first race. I didn't ask for it, he said, voice tight. They did this to me. Years ago, after the Mars mission. I disappeared for 6 hours. When I came back, I was changed, and you told no one. They would have locked me away. Maybe they should have. Virel walked around him slowly, studying him like a puzzle. Her voice softened. Why did you save me yesterday, even when the others ran? He answered without hesitation. Because I felt them coming for you before they arrived. Like I knew it. You knew it. No, I felt it. Not in my mind, in my bones. A long pause followed. You're not fully human anymore, are you? She asked. No, he said. Then what are you? He turned to her. The lights in the room flickered again, reacting to the energy coming off his body. He didn't smile. He didn't boast. He just said, I think I'm what comes next. She didn't move. Couldn't, because, for the first time, she realized something terrifying. The trials weren't testing him. They were containing him, and someone, or something, didn't want him to remember what he really was. The door slid open suddenly. A Zorethian royal messenger appeared. Pale and trembling. Princess. The king has issued a decree. Captain Rayan is to be detained immediately. He is classified as a Class Omega threat to the Empire. Virel's eyes went cold. She looked at Rayan, then back at the messenger. Tell my father, she said calmly. If he wants to arrest him, he'll have to go through me. The messenger hesitated. But Princess, she stepped between Rayan and the door. No more trials. No more lies. I'll find out the truth myself. Behind her, Rayan watched as the light under his skin pulsed once more faster now. Brighter something inside him was waking up, and it was done hiding. Asterisk, smoke drifted through the halls of the royal citadel, like a warning nobody could read fast enough. The walls once pulsing with the soft light of Zareth's peace were now dark. Flickering, whispering things only machines should hear. Captain Rayan sat alone in a high-security chamber. Arms chained to the cold metal chair, head bowed. No windows, no guards, just silence, and the low hum of scanners trying, failing. To understand what he was, they had taken his armor, but not his fear, because he didn't have any left. Across the city, Warships powered up one by one, rising like shadows into the green sky. The royal fleet wasn't waiting anymore. Earth's connection to the Galactic Alliance had been revoked. Official reason, contamination. Unofficial reason, rayon. On the upper level of the palace, Princess Varel stood at a transparent wall, staring out at her father's war preparations. Her reflection in the glass looked older than yesterday. Colder, tired in a way no crown could fix. Behind her, door slid open. "You defied a royal order," said her father's voice. Low and heavy, she didn't turn around. "I protected an ally. You protected a virus." She finally looked at him. Emperor Vexer, her father stood tall in ceremonial armor, but his eyes held fear behind command. "He's not a virus," she said. "He's a signal." The emperor narrowed his gaze. "You think he's special? But he's not the first human to carry ancient tech. We found traces before. Always unstable. Always dangerous. Then why are you afraid of him?" The emperor didn't answer. But he didn't have to. Because at that exact moment, deep beneath the palace, Rayon's eyes opened. He hadn't been sleeping. He'd been listening to the machines, to the walls, to the thing inside him. And now he was listening back. The chains that held him didn't break, they dissolved. Quietly, like they had decided he was free. The cameras blinked, then died. The doors unlocked, and Rayon walked out. No resistance, no alarms, because the entire security system had just accepted him as authorized. Outside, rebels moved in the shadows. Zarethian citizens who had long questioned the royal line were rising, not for Earth, not for conquest, but because they had seen something in the arena. In the trials. In him, not a soldier, not an invader. A spark, and sparks in dark places start fires. Virel walked into the throne chamber, where elite guards turned their weapons on her. She didn't flinch. "Lower your arms," she said. One did. Then another. And another, because something had shifted in the last few days. Not in the laws, in loyalty. Just then, the giant main doors cracked open. Rayon stepped into the chamber. Unarmed, UNA. Armory. Unstoppable. His presence pressed down like a gravitational shift. Even the Emperor's voice faltered. "You don't belong here." "No," Rayon said calmly, "but I'm still here. You're a threat. I didn't come to start a war, but I won't run from one either." The Emperor raised his hand, ready to signal a strike, but Virel moved faster. She stepped between them. "You destroy him," she said, "and you destroy the only chance Zareth has to survive what's coming." The Emperor sneered. "You think something's coming?" Virel didn't look at him. She looked at Rayan, and Rayon said softly, "They're already here." The chamber trembled from above. Red lights flashed, not alarms, emergency distress signals. Every satellite orbiting Zareth had just gone dark, and something massive had entered the system. Not a fleet, not a world, a hive, a biological engine with no language, no flag, and no memory of mercy. The parasites were just scouts. The real enemy had finally arrived, and now only one bridge remained between destruction and survival, a half-human, half-something-else warrior, glowing like the past and walking like the future. It was quiet before the end, too quiet for a war this big. The sky above Zareth was black-nowned from night, but from something larger than the world itself. A living ship, a hive organism older than empires, stretched across the upper atmosphere, like a wound that would never close. Cities below flickered like candlelight. One gust from above, and they would vanish. And yet, in the silence, no attack came. Not yet. They were waiting, watching, testing, down on the battlefield. Soldiers, human and Zarethian alike, shoulder to shoulder to shoulder. Former enemies, now allies. By necessity, not trust. They had seen enough. Enough to know that what hovered above them didn't care about borders or bloodlines. It only devoured in the center of the formation. Stood Rayan. No armor, no helmet, no weapon, just him. And the strange, shifting light beneath his skin, Princess Virel watched him from a command platform nearby. Wind blew through her torn royal robes, and smoke smeared the edge of her cheek. She had never felt smaller than she did watching him walk toward the center of the field, alone, exposed, on purpose. He's not going to fight them. Asked her second in command. No, she said. He's going to speak to them. Speak? With what language? Virel stared at Rayan, with the one they left in him. The earth cracked dot from the sky. Something descended slow and fluid. Like oil dripping through gravity, a tendril of the hive, it touched down in front of Rayan, rising into a humanoid shape. It had no face, but it mirrored his form. A reflection of what he could have become. If he'd given in, Rayan took a breath. The light inside him pulsed and angry, not afraid, ready, and then. He began to speak, but not with words. The glow beneath his skin expanded, sending pulses through the air, vibrations, patterns, like memory in motion. The language was ancient. Pre-language. DNA echo. The hive responded. The soldiers couldn't hear what was being said, but they felt it. A pressure in their bones, a memory that wasn't theirs. A fear older than stars. Rayan didn't move. He didn't shout. He just was present, unbreakable, and the hive hesitated in all its long existence. It had never paused until now, because something in him, something born of war, forged in loss, fused with the forgotten technology of a species erased by time, was familiar to them. No worse, superior, it began to withdraw, not fast, slow, as if calculating, reconsidering. Then, silence. The shadow above began to drift backward. The sky slowly opened again, and then the hive was gone. No attack, no destruction, just absence. And in its place, breath. The soldiers didn't cheer. Not at first. They just stared at him. The human who stood alone without lifting a single weapon and made the darkness retreat. Later, back inside the ruined palace, Princess Virel stood before him. The war was over, but her voice was soft. Unsure. You didn't fight them. You turned them away. They recognized something in me, he said. Something I don't fully understand. She stepped closer. When we first met, I mocked your armor. I remember. I thought it made you weak. He smiled, just slightly. I took it off so you could see what real strength looked like. She looked into his eyes, and for the first time, not as a princess. Not as a warrior, but as someone who had seen too much and still chose to hope. She said, "What are you going to do now?" Rayan turned toward the horizon. I think I'm not done being human, but maybe it's time I find out what else I am. And with that, he walked away from the throne room. Past shattered glass and broken flags. Not as a soldier, not as a savior, but as a beginning.